Come on, work. There we go. Now it's working. Okay. Sorry. Now it's working. Hey, now it's working, right? You can hear me? Michael? Michael. Hey. Sorry. I had all these people waiting too. I had more than I've ever had waiting to come on. And I was like, it's never not worked. So I just quit Chrome and then rebooted. Yay. And now I'm hesitant to open up that session that I was going to have so I could have jam tracks. So I won't necessarily do a jam along track kind of thing. Okay. So we can do our warm-ups. You guys want to warm up? Get your guitars out. We'll do that that exercise, the pinky exercise. We can do that today to start. That's always a good one. I'm going to use my blue chip pick. You know how much this pick was? I think it was $45 for a guitar pick. And I'm like, really? But then when I get my ears in and I'm playing a mic and I pull up different picks, I have to admit this pick sounds pretty good, but I'm not sure it sounds $45 good. I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference here online. Not that kind of stream, quality, but okay. So our pattern, our left hand pattern for this exercise is, remember, every other note's going to be your pinky. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. And we just start right on the first fret of the first string, and we go 1, and then 4th fret, 3rd finger, 4th finger, 2nd finger, 4th finger, 3rd finger, 4. Again, stay here. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Oh, you have to practice for your lesson. 1. Okay, go up a fret. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Up a fret. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Another fret, 4th fret. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Again, we're working the pinky. Every other note's the pinky. Go to the 5th fret, first finger on the 5th fret. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Hey! And, you practiced this morning. And if you want to, you can practice alternating your right hand. Go down, up, down, up. Or, like I said before, if you want to start practicing using different fingerings, you've got all sorts of different combinations we talked about the other day with your right hand if you're studying classical guitar. Okay, so we're at 7th fret. 1, 4, 3, 4, 2, 4, 3, 4. Up another fret. 1, 4, 3, 4. Hey, Chris. I'm good. Okay, we'll stop here. All right, and again, all the lessons so far have been about the CAGED method. Probably going to continue. I'm going to continue that for a little while longer. I've got a chart for you to see. Just a reminder for anyone who hasn't been on any of these lessons, the CAGED method is just the word caged, and it's basically the 5 open chords that most beginners learn. C, A, G, E, and D. That again, C, A, G, E, and D. And what I always suggest is try to play them with these 3 fingers. Try to play those 5 chords with these 3 fingers. It's a little hard. The C chord's a little, like, that doesn't feel normal. And then the A chord, that's actually how I normally play it. G chord, I've played it like this back in the 60s and 70s. D or E, that's a little weird, but if you played bar chords, that feels normal. And then D is also a little weird. But what that does is that frees up the first finger then to create a bar behind each one of those shapes. And so the C chord now becomes 12 different chords. This A chord becomes 12 different chords. This G chord becomes 12 different chords. This one's a hard one to play, so you might not actually ever play this shape, but being able to visualize it really helps for rhythm and for lead playing. The E form, same thing. You move it up with the bar, now you got 12 chords. Same thing with the D. That's one chord, but now that's 12 chords. So instead of 5, the CAGED chords, it's 5, you got 60 chords, 5 times 12, for every diatonic chromatic note. Oh yeah, you got well, yeah, that's true. You for your Verdi, if you're going to have your guitar tuned down a whole step, then you're going to have to think what your key is, unless you make everybody else play with you in the same, if your bass player tunes down too. So other guitar players, if the drummer tunes down a whole step, then that also. So drummers are like, wait, what? I don't have any drummers. So those were the chords, the shapes. And then remember, we had we've done 5 pentatonic shapes built on those chords, and we did them all in the key of D. So here's the C. Remember the CAGED C. There's the D using the C form. Okay, the next form is A, and so there's the D chord using the A form. The next chord is G. The next shape is G, and here's the D chord using the G. And the next shape is E, and there's the D chord using the E, and the last one is D, and there's the D chord using the D shape, which obviously makes sense that it's D. Okay, so those are all the shapes, and then the pentatonic scales. I've got them all written out here from the last few days. Here they all are. Okay. You can take a screenshot of that. And here they all are. You've probably all got that already. All right. Yeah, you can tune. Yeah, Elliott Smith down a whole step. Van Halen's down a half step, I think. And Hendrix was down a half step, wasn't he? Okay. So I did this for you. I told you I was going to do this, and I did this. This diagram is basically the whole neck with, get ready to do another screenshot, with all of the shapes all connected. You see that? And I circled the D root notes, the low D root notes, and I put an X over the B root notes because there were some of you that wanted to know, hey, what's the minor pentatonic or the major pentatonic? And they're the same shapes, but they just would be in different positions. But if you're playing D major pentatonic, it's the same as B minor pentatonic, same exact shape. You would just start on B instead of D for B minor. Okay. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Is that good? Can you get that? Sorry about my handwriting. It's awful. So, okay. Screen cap time. And I could scan that and post it and then send you a link, but I don't know if it'd be any better than what you got. The notes in the D minor pentatonic are D, E, F sharp, A, and B. Let me do this with the spaces. D, E, F sharp, sorry. A, B. And the values of those notes, I'm touching my hair, not my face. The values of the notes, that's root, second, third, fifth, and sixth. Okay. So when you're playing a major pentatonic, yeah. Okay. We're all going to tune down a whole step now so Verdi doesn't have to tune up. Okay. So, when you're playing that D major pentatonic, D, E, F sharp, A, and B, D major pentatonic, sorry. You're playing the root, the second, the third, and the fifth. and the 6th. There was an exercise I learned about playing over jazz changes. You know, if you've got a lot of fast changes, like for example, giant steps is you know very. There's a lot of chords. I'm going to run out of frets. But what I would do to practice playing over giant steps, just to kind of get my hands around the chord changes, was to play 4 of the 5 notes in a pentatonic scale, major or minor pentatonic. Well, and actually it was more, I was playing for the major, I was playing that. So I was playing the root, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th, okay? Or the 5th. So that would be like with a B, over D, it would be, see, 1, it's like do, re, mi, but then you're skipping do, re, you're skipping fa and go right to do, re, mi. So, let's see, what was it? Oh yeah, it was it. Anyway, it was an exercise more than anything to play over giant steps, and you're just playing the 1, 2, 3, 5 of every chord. Kind of a good exercise you can do if you're trying to kind of get the lay of the land of any chord progression. But that's pretty advanced stuff. So now the B. So again, on these all are also, you know, B minor pentatonics. You see the X's. That would be the root of the B minor there on the C form. Here's the root on the A form and the G form. There's the lowest B root. So if that note is a B and you play that form, then you're playing the B minor. So the notes in a B minor pentatonic scale are B, D, E, F sharp, and A. So you can see it's the same exact notes except starting on B. And so the analysis of those would be the root, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. So B, D, E, F sharp, A are the root, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th in B minor. And so that's all you're playing. Now, the reason I'm kind of giving you this overview here is because what I want to do is I want to start doing the diatonic scale. So we're going to add 2 notes to that. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I'm talking about. Relative major and minor. That's B minor is the relative minor to D major. Okay. And so if you want to find the relative minor in any key, any major key, just go down a half step and then a whole step. So if you were in the key of A, you go down a half step and then a whole step, and that's F sharp. So F sharp minor is the same as A major. Same notes, just that F sharp minor starts on F sharp and A major starts on A, but it's the same notes. Okay, and that's what we're going to start to see today. So if you are in the minor, say you're on E minor, you want to know what the relative major is, you go up a whole step, then a half step, and then you're going to get to G. All right. So let's do a little quiz here. I'm going to give you a major, and you tell me the relative minor. Let's see. E major. What's the relative minor to E major? Anybody? Anybody? First in. Who's gonna say? I don't know what the lag time is. Is this going to be a really bad exercise? Because I'm gonna be waiting for 5 minutes for the post. Okay, so nope. You went the wrong way. E major, you got to go down a half step and down a whole step. Right concept. There you go. C sharp minor. Okay. Now, if we were in, okay, here's an easier one. C. If we were in the key of C major, what would be the relative minor? No, you've got this, Kathy. You got it. Down a half step for C is B, and down a whole step from B is. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Mark's a great guitar teacher. I'm going to stop now. Mark, you take over. A minor is correct. Yep. Okay. Let's do it the opposite way. Let's figure out the relative major. So if somebody said G minor, if you were in G minor, what would be the relative major? And Mark, you're not allowed to answer this one. Relative. So what did I say? G minor. What's the relative major to G minor? Yep. Everybody got the A one. That's good. Everybody got C. That's awesome. Relative major. So you've got to go up a whole step and up a half step. Yep. B flat major is correct. A sharp. Yeah, but G minor is a flat key, so you would want to go with the flat key. B flat is the flat key. Pepper, you went the wrong way. We're going the other way. Okay. So just a reminder, if you're doing, I'll write this down. You can screenshot this too. Just if you're doing a, if you want to find if you're going major to minor or minor to major, okay, you're going to be basically, to do the major to the minor, you've got to go down a half step, minus a half step, and then minus another whole step, and that'll get you the relative minor, okay? And the reason I say half step is because the note in the C scale below C is B, which is a half step down. So I'm trying to get you to think down scale tones, C, B, A, okay? And then A, B, C, going the other way, we're going to go to do the minor to the major, you're going to go plus a whole step and plus a half step, and there you'll get your relative minor. Okay, now here I'll give you a really good application of this, okay? Here's a great application for doing the relative major and minor. Say you're playing a song in the key of G, and it's just basically G, C, D, C, okay? Now, not only is there a relative minor in the key of, or the G's relative minor is E minor, most major chords have a relative minor as well. And so I can substitute a relative minor for any of these major chords and still sing the exact same melody over it, and it should totally work, okay? And for me, it's like, you know, the only time I ever sang and played guitar at the same time was basically when I was leading worship. So like I think about, Lord, I lift your name on high. Oh, worship song. Lord, I praise. But I can minor here. It kind of changes the flavor, gives you a little bit of something different to, it makes the song less boring. You don't have to do it every time. You can just do it once, and it just, everybody's like, whoa, what happened? And you could do that with any of those chords. So what I did was, instead of playing G that one time, and I'm just playing G, C, D, C, D, C, D, C. But I just played E minor instead of G one time, and it made it interesting. Totally changed the song a little bit. And it, you know, a lot of times when you're doing, like you hear, Collier, what's that kid's name? Collier. He's doing reharmonizing. Okay, he's doing this to the millionth degree, Jacob Collier. And so, you know, you could have a melody. Let's see. Right? So it's. But if you did the minor, you know, you would have a totally different sound. If I did a major, F major, you know, now we're getting into higher, like higher harmony, jazz theory, things like that, jazz harmony. And that's all that's happening is you're just swapping out a chord. So instead of playing G, I played an E minor and came up with a thing. Well, here, now check this out. I'm going to, instead of changing G to E minor, I can take the C major chord and go to its relative minor. Okay. And remember the relative minor to C major was A minor. So check this out. Check out what happens to the, and I'll even hum this, the melody that I was humming so that you can hear that the melody still works. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. You hear that? So the C, the A minor works just as well as the C. And I mean, it's not perfect. It may not be what people are expecting. And so but we can do it with also the B chord. Every major chord is going to have a relative minor. So the D chord, let's take the D chord. Yeah, that's what I'm playing, Lord, I'll lift your name on high. It's an old song. I haven't sung and played guitar, you know, very often, so not in a long time. So so I could do instead of D, I could use B minor. And you notice on the C, I don't have to substitute the A minor every time. But essentially, the difference between a C chord and an A minor chord is just the C has a G, and that G goes up to A for the A minor, and that's the only difference. So it's a very, very similar. It's a very, very similar harmony, and that's why it works. If I were to go from C and instead do D instead of C, then that wouldn't work so well. It wouldn't work as well because all three notes are different from the C chord to the D chord. Okay, so the D. I'll ask you guys. What's the relative minor to D major? So a D chord. What's the relative minor? My voice. It's been a long time. That's right. B minor. Good. Everybody. Okay. You're right. So I'm going to sub in the B minor. Okay. Check this out. This is a little weird, but it still works. But I'm going to play it just normal one time around. And then the second time I'll go to B minor and you can hear it. That cool? I'll go to A minor too. Okay, and this is one of the tricks to songwriting. Okay, this is one of the tricks I use when I'm writing songs. Is I will write a song with one progression and maybe swap it out completely and keep the melody the same. And now you've got a melody that you might not have come up with over this new progression. It wouldn't have naturally flowed, but it sounds more interesting because of that. Okay, so check this out. I'm going to do the whole song, but I'm going to substitute. So let me just write out these. Okay, so the chord progression. I picked that song because it's really simple. It's just G, C, D, C. And I can substitute E minor for any of those Gs, A minor for any of those Cs, and B minor for any of those Ds. Okay. And it doesn't have to happen all the time. You do it once and it just might freshen the song up in a certain section. And here's the thing, and we'll maybe explore this too. You can go the opposite way. Say the song was written with nothing but minor chords. You could substitute the relative major. In other words, go up a whole step and a half step and make it a major chord, and there's your relative major on any minor chord, and it should generally work. It's very rare that would not work. Okay, so here's the progression. I'm going to minor all of them. I'm going to relative minor all of them, but here's... That's a little weird. There's a little moment there. That D, singing the D over A minor is a little weird. I might go to C2 instead of A minor the second time. So. Again, it's not exactly worship now. It's like now it's a sexy love song. So now it's ETA, right? Now it's a sexy. That's really ETA is really just Lord, I lift your name on high with all minor subs. That's all it is. Okay. All right. I love this old Martin. Look at that pick guard, though. Isn't that sad? I don't know. It's like it's like it got wet or left out in the sun. This guitar was abused before I got it. This has been like it since day one. The fretboard is cracked on the side here, so that's been repaired. I mean the trim on the side. This bridge, I don't know if you can see it, but after I bought it, I realized, oh, wait a minute. This was a lefty and it was turned into a righty. So they filled it in with wood and then they cut in a new groove. And then, because if you'll notice on an acoustic guitar, the saddle is at an angle. So there's like different colored wood at a different angle right here. So I don't think you can see that. I don't know if I can there's no way to get enough light on it. I have to post a picture, but yeah, you really don't necessarily want the guitarist playing two totally different chords, especially if, I mean, one thing you could do is say the song was like that and you're playing that down low. Then if you were capoing and you played up high, and that's another thing we're going to talk about in the future is, in fact, I'm going to talk about it now. But you could maybe get away with playing G, C, D, C. And this actually really is a great moment to make this point. And I'm going to hold up this diagram that I did where I wrote out all of the pentatonic shapes in case anyone missed it, because I know people are coming and going. Pour a glass of wine for sure. And every time I touch my face, you have to take a drink. It's our drinking game. So there is all 5 pentatonics, and I actually wrote out C form twice. You see that? Because I want you to see how it's a chain link that just kind of loops and loops. It's an infinity loop, essentially. And all 5 forms, do a screenshot. All 5 forms, C, A, G, E, D, are there. And if you want, you can rewrite it yourself and use maybe different color pens to write out the chord shape, and then fill in the rest of the notes in the pentatonic with the black pen or something like that. Might be kind of a cool exercise. I should create some blank. Well, you can get a great website. Let me share this with you guys. I really, really, really love this website. And where is it? Here it is. It's blanksheetmusic.net, and they've been around forever. I've been using this thing forever. Anytime you need tab paper, you can just print it up here. But not only tab paper. Oh, do you need another screenshot again? Here, Kathy. Here it is again. One more time. Try not to block anything. Okay, and now here's one without my face. Here's one with my face. Here's one without my face. All right. Where's my, oh, here's my water. Just had a bunch of orange juice. Had a little sore throat this morning. Probably just slept with my mouth open. Went for a long walk. Just got back. Smelled gas. Smelled gas in front of a neighbor's house. So I had to call the gas company and report it. And they're going to come out. Fortunately, not going to bug me, but. Okay, so here's what I want. Another thing we talk about, and if you've watched my capoing videos, which is one of my favorite things to teach on, I'm going to find, let's see, playlists, all playlists, create a playlist. I've got a playlist of just my capoing videos. Here we go. View full playlist. There's 15 videos up here, probably some redundancy. I have been redoing some old videos because they're old. And back when I did them, I had 100 subscribers, and now I have almost 70,000. So very few of my subscribers will go fishing in my 468, right, Kathy? 468 videos that I have go hunting for something they need to learn. So I kind of like to refresh them every now and then. Plus, it just but back then I was using the iMac camera, and I was didn't have a barber. Now I do, but not right now. None of us have barbers right now. It's like, dang, everybody, all the women are saying, you're going to find out what my real hair color is. Yeah, yeah. Check out some. But there's a playlist there that's capoing. Okay, so the thing I love about capoing is generally it helps you make an acoustic guitar sound great, even in flat and sharp keys that are kind of awkward keys to play in. Any key that you might have a lot of bar chords in or something. Bar chords are a struggle. So if you're struggling, you're not going to sound like it's comfortable, natural, flowing, fun, whatever. Also, their bar chords don't have any open strings. And when you pick up an acoustic guitar, I really feel like your audience expects to hear open strings. So that's why I like to capo, so you can get in everybody's favorite key. I mean, I see worship leaders do this all the time, where they play every song in G, and they just move the capo around so they can just play every song in G. But the two main I call them the happy keys, the key of G and the key of D is also a good key, because D has, D shape and an A shape and a G shape, and those are pretty easy to play. G has a G shape, a C shape, and a D shape, and those are easy to play. Okay, but what I really, really want people to try to do, and this is still part of the E form, A form, the CAGED method. I really, really want people to know exactly what chord they're playing. See, I'm not playing a G chord here. This is not a G chord. So if you have a capo handy, take it out. 473. Yeah, 473 because of all these it's counting all these live streams, and I'm leaving them up there because I'm getting views. Why not? People are catching up. I noticed that I'm getting views on the videos I did the first video, because everybody's kind of going, oh, I want to watch the first one. Catch up. Is that a Machiavelli? I wish. No, that's a Del Arte. It's a very nice guitar. That's my Django guitar. And then the one that's pear-shaped, that's a gold tone Irish bouzouki. And that's basically it's 4 courses, meaning 4 pairs of strings, and it's tuned G, A, D, A. So it kind of almost has kind of a dadgad sound to it, but it's kind of an Irish thing. I actually am going to change the tuning to G, A, D, E, but I really felt like the top string was too tight. And I can play it here in a second so you can see it. Oh, did I do a stream with the Irish bouzouki? Well, yeah, Django's a freaking. In fact, I'm reading the best biography on Django right now. I'm in the middle of that, so it's amazing. Django Reinhardt. If you don't know who Django Reinhardt is, he's basically he and the violinist Stefan Grappelli are the kind of the Django Reinhardt. I think that's right. And what's crazy is he was a gypsy and literally lived in a caravan, and lived in they would have those little caravans, the little like trailers with the steps going up to in the door, and he was in outside of Paris, actually in the 10th arrondissement, which is the Zona region, which back then probably wasn't as built up as it is now. Yeah, Stefan Grappelli is freaking amazing, and Django didn't live very long. He passed away in 1953, I think. But he kind of grew up in the 10s and 20s in Paris. Got famous in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and was kind of the grandfather of Gypsy Jazz, and or the father of Gypsy Jazz. And the crazy thing was, though, and this is a great story. I've used this for anybody with adversity. He actually played banjo. That was the instrument back in the 20s, more so than guitar. Guitar really wasn't much of an instrument because it wasn't loud enough to get they were playing the music they were playing were like waltzes. That was kind of the style of music in Paris at the time, and it was an accordion player, let's see, what else would they have? Accordion, banjo, and I forget what the other, maybe clarinet. And so, because the guitar just wouldn't cut through, and they didn't really have, there were no electric guitars. So banjo definitely is a lot louder. Anytime you play banjo, it's like, oh, I can't practice tonight because I live in an apartment building, so I can't practice at night. I remember that, but he had he got married. He and his wife sold cellophane flowers, and she was preparing flowers in their caravan for the next day for a funeral for a family friend. And so they had cellophane all over which would be normally the case all over their caravan. and he got home late from a gig where he had just been offered an opportunity of his lifetime to tour with a band that I'd never heard of, Jack Hilton with a Y, and they did in 1929 they did 700 shows traveling 63,000 miles, and they sold 3.5 million records in 1929. I mean, like, that's just crazy. And he showed up at Django's gig that night and asked him to tour with him. Like, and they were getting ready to head to Germany for like a month to play in one venue for a month. And so he went home. He was home late. He got home. His wife lit a candle to because he got home and she wanted to greet him. And the candle fell off the table, rolled down and hit the cellophane, and literally the caravan went up in flames immediately. His wife got out. She just burned her hair, basically. But Django was in trying to get her out. He was holding a blanket over her with his left hand, and his left hand got horribly burned. His whole right side was horribly burned. They were going to amputate his leg. They were going to amputate, I think, his hand. And he wouldn't let them. He spent 18 months in the hospital, 1929 to 1931. 18 months in the hospital recuperating from this horrible tragedy. And these two fingers were fused. Basically, they were pretty worthless. They all the tendons, everything was just melted in there, and he couldn't really use them. So he got a guitar. His brother gave him a guitar, and who also was a guitar player, or who was a guitar player, and gave him a guitar. So he started playing guitar, and he is the most amazing guitar player you'll ever hear. And as soon as you hear him, you'll know. Like, I didn't want to play anything on this because I'll get I don't want to get have to edit it or do a takedown. But look him up. Minor Swing is a good example of one of his most known pieces. Oh, you saw him play in person, or you saw him play on the video? Yeah, there's some videos on YouTube. You can look them up, and it's just very blurry, very old fashioned. It's like film. It's not very good. There's not very good film of him playing, unfortunately. And he also walked with a limp the rest of his life. In fact, I think he had canes or something. So yeah, the videos are pretty crazy. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to say, because there are not many people alive that have seen Django play. And I don't know that he even. I'm reading the biography right now, and I'm not sure if he's actually ever came to America. I'm not sure. I'm sure he probably did. But it's the most amazing music. I love Gypsy Jazz. For one thing, I'm a quarter French and I'm a quarter Bohemian, which is Gypsy Romani, which like Romania. And so that definitely, the music resonates with me, but there's something about it that it's minor, but it's happy. In fact, we were just talking about, minor substitutions. So if we were to make Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, a Gypsy Jazz song, I'll do it in G minor just because it's easier, but be like. But that's like a lot of minor six, okay? And I'm playing, it's a pretty simple chord to play. Keep in mind, Django only had these two, so he'd be like, he'd be it's just really hard. He would use a lot of harmonic minor scales. I'm using the wrong pick for it, but I actually have a Gypsy Jazz pick that I love. This is very, very, very thick Wiegand pick. I think it's 3.5 millimeters, and it just, and he could do chromatic scales with one finger with insane velocity. He's just so good. Well, nuages, I'm not even sure how to say it, to be honest. But that's one of his most known songs. But yeah, so I've always been a big Django fan, and like I said, the music, there's something about it. It's like the sad joy at the same time. It's really such a beautiful style of music, and it's been kept alive pretty well. There's some great players out there that, I have actually a book of transcriptions, of Django transcriptions that's fingered both with 2 fingers and 4 fingers. So the scale, the solos, if you want to play it like they think he played it, they have the fingerings for that. And if you want to play it just regular, yeah, that's the one. So what I want you to do when you are capoing, I want you to not just think, okay, this is a G chord, because it's not. And there's several reasons why you don't want to think it is what it looks like. You want to learn these chords. So this is a C chord. And then the C shape is actually F, and the D shape is actually G. All right. So if you have your capo out, if you're capo at the 5th fret, we've got your guitar out. This is C. This is F. This is G. This is F. And this all comes back to the CAGED method. See, we take that C shape up, C, C sharp or D flat, D, E flat, E, F. Boom, there it is. Okay. So this will also help you to start to see the CAGED method. I mean, to apply the CAGED method to your guitar, even if you're just capoing. And so there's many reasons. For one thing, I just feel like it's lazy just to think that's a G chord. You really want to think what chord it is, because now if you think you're in the key of G, I usually use an example of like if you are down here at the 1st fret and you think you're in the key of G, but you're really in A flat. But you're thinking in your head, you're thinking G because I'm playing a G shape, right? You go up to do a G lick, and it's like, wait, oh shoot, I'm not in G, I'm in A flat. So that's why, if I'm capoing, I'm always thinking about what key I'm in. Here's the other thing too, is if I'm reading, see, you mentioned the Nashville. No, I'm not talking about Nashville number system. Okay. That's another thing I could teach on, the Nashville number system. It's just basically a way of reducing a chord progression down to the value in the key. And the reason they do that in Nashville is because in Nashville, the session players do so many songs in a day, doing these basically song demos. They could do, I've heard guys that where they literally do 12 songs an hour. Every 5 minutes they're doing another song. And what they'll do is they'll call out, they don't know what's the best key for the singer, because they get the singer's in the booth. They got the melody there, like, let's do this in A. Let's do this in A. And they go, okay. And so they don't have to write out they don't have to change all the G's to A's or anything like that. It's all written out in numbers. So they just know, okay, 1 in the key of A is A. The 2 chord in the key of A is B minor, and so on and so forth. But no, CAGED method is completely different than the Nashville tuning number thing. So, the number thing, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily use that either for this situation. If I was capoing, you could, sure, if the song was 1, 4, 5, 4, like Lord, I'll Lift Your Name on High, you could take 1, 4, 5. But that doesn't really help you when it comes to doing a lick further up the neck either. Okay. And it also doesn't necessarily help you to translate or to share that information with another musician if they don't know the number system. If you're playing with a bass player and you say, oh, play the 1 chord, and he's like, well, what's the 1 chord? Because he's a bass player. Am I insulting any bass players? Oh, this one is a Page capo. There's it's kind of a cool capo. I got it because all the bluegrass guys use it. It's really pretty. It's a beautiful one. I really like it. They make more expensive ones than this, but I like it. G7 gave me a few capos at the NAMM show, and I did a review of the 12-string one, which is really cool. And these are pretty cool. These G7s are cool. I've always liked Shubs. If you Shub gave me a couple capos at the NAMM show as well. They gave me a cut capo, and I'm going to do a video on cut capos soon. So let's see. Yeah, no, yeah, and I'm friends with RJ as well. RJ is a great guitar player, and he's in Nashville. Yeah, I do think the Nashville number system is much more common in Nashville than LA. If I get a piece of paper put in front of me in LA, it's more likely going to be music, something like that. I read music well, so I just in fact, composers will just send me. They'll just send me MIDI, and then I can turn the MIDI into music. So I can just read that, and But then if there's chords, like this is just a harmony for me to follow. I didn't necessarily have to play these notes, but this is for me to keep track of where the harmony was going, because on that was for a movie, and I was in a month's time, I'll have this much stack on my floor of papers. I like to keep them going for about a month, and then I'll recycle them. Yeah, I like capos that you can adjust the tension on too, because I'm sitting in my studio. So the shub really works that way. The G7 works pretty good. It's almost the best of both worlds in some ways. I mean, I think that's really what they were going for. And then the Page is just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that any capo sounds better than any other capo. If a capo is not tight enough, it'll definitely not sound good. But yeah, RJ's a great guy. Let's see. Yeah, and this one won't work high up on the fretboard because the neck gets too wide. So it's kind of a design flaw, but it works great, probably about to the 5th fret. And then at that point, you're not going to go much further. Okay, let me grab the bouzouki. Yeah, it's not a bazooka, it's a bouzouki. I need to get a Greek bouzouki, which is different. It also generally has 4 courses, so 8 strings. It also has a kind of a round body, but the back is round. See, this is flat, which is nice. A little easier for me to play. The round bodies tend to go like that. Although I got some anti-slip rug, those things that you put under rugs so they don't slip. It's like rubbery. I put that on my lap for the oud and for the lute so that it doesn't slip. It works pretty good. But what I want to do this one, and I'll do a review of this, a little more deep review of it. But right now it's tuned G, so 2 Gs, octave apart, 2 Ds. So you got a power chord, right? Okay, and then unison A's and then unison D's. And I want to tune these D's up to E. But right now they're really tight. I'm afraid if I try, it'll just break them, and I don't want to break the strings because I'm afraid I don't want the bridge or top get hurt. So I ordered, I think, another set of strings that has a thinner high string, so that I can tune it to. Because a lot of people will take their Irish bouzouki's and tune them G, D, A, E. So it's just an octave below a mandolin, and that way when I play it, I can play. I know mandolin. See, that note's wrong. It should be like that. So I know how to play chords and scales and stuff like that on a mandolin, and so it almost translates to this. But if I tune that up, it'll have an E on top instead of a D. So okay. So questions. I'm a capo went to bazooka. Autocorrect wants to call. I know, right? Autocorrect does correct it. I had to put learn. And the funny thing is, it won't the learn in, Pages won't remember it in Chrome. So I have to learn it and have to try to get it to learn in all those. You're all over the place. Let's stick with the topic. What happened with the capo at the 5th fret? Okay, sorry, Ben. Let's see. I'm in a B tuning right now. Well, I haven't done a video on B tuning. What are the notes in the B tuning? How are you tuning that? Love Irish tunes. Pepper J. I use the rubber shelving to hold my guitar in the lap. Yep. That's exactly kind of what I'm doing. I have only 2 songs. Oh, I see. Are you creating songs? Let's see, Steve. Much of the change sound wise, flat versus chord shape. Well, I think, yeah, that's an Irish bouzouki. I think that the wood is different on a Greek. It's very different sounding. This is very rich and warm. I also think a bouzouki is probably tuned a little high. Greek bouzouki is tuned a little higher. And it definitely has a brighter tone to it, kind of more nasally. And this is more open and ringy. I actually used this on a commercial yesterday. So I'm not sure if it's going to be used or not, but so let me go back because I'm being chastised for getting off subject. But what's his name? He always tells me squirrel. Okay, so you're basically B drop. Okay. Oh, I see. You got a C sharp in it. Okay. So open B is you're tuning down and you're turning down and you're tuning down and you're tuning down a half step and then you're leaving it there and then you're turning down a whole major. That's quite a shift. So you have to use heavier strings on the bottom. Chipmunk, squirrel. Let's see. Let's grab the G7. Seem to work pretty good. Yeah, I forget who is it that always says squirrel when I get off subject. Hey, I mean, I've been here for 15 minutes, so that's pretty good. So the chords you're actually playing, if you play a G shape, you're actually playing C. Usually, what I do here, and I think I've got in my. If you look at again, I think those were my capo videos. If you look at those, I think the newer ones, I may give you a little quiz in those, and I haven't done the 5th fret yet. I can do that. That actually might be a good one to do. I've done, what have I done? 4th fret, 1st fret, 3rd fret. So I'll do the 2nd fret and the 5th fret soon, okay? But basically the idea is I want you to know the chords you're actually playing. So this is C, not G, A minor, F, and G. So the only reason I'm not, we can do this, but if you have your capo out, you got your guitar on, you got your guitar on your lap. Oh, you made a drum guitar. Oh, good. That's awesome, Harrison. I know it's easy to get those, to have a guitar around. And the cool thing is to try to write stuff on that thing too. So, and then the A minor shape would be D minor. This is a pretty good sounding D minor. So you got to play, you got to play in D minor. It's kind of a cool, it sounds better than down here sometimes. Because you're basically playing A minor shapes. So what I would do is then I would quiz you and I would say, okay, play a C chord. And if you played this, you're wrong. It's this. And then I'd say, okay, now play a G chord. And if you played that, nope. And then you go, oh, this is the G chord. Yep. Okay, now play A minor. Now play D minor. G minor would be this. So this is actually kind of an open G minor. Okay. All right, let's play F. Okay, G. E minor. This would be C, so play C. So you get the idea. You kind of want to, you might have to do like one of those cue card things or note card things and write down some names of chords and then just do flashcards essentially. But the nice thing is it's really only the prefix of the chord that you really need to worry about. The suffix stays the same. So in other words, if you're playing D, it's an A shape, but D G7 would be an A7 shape. So you don't have to learn that many chords. You know that this, this is D, then you know this is D7 or this. Okay. If you know this is D, you know this is D minor. If you know this is D minor, you probably would know this is D minor 7. That kind of thing. So those the suffixes don't really have to be moved at all. It's just the first name that you're changing, if that makes sense. Okay. I will tell no one except do a video on it. The weirdest tuning I've used so far in writing is, so it's kind of like a dad gad, but with dad cack sharp. You're being chastised. Keep your mouth shut. Zip it. Zip it. Zip it. Yeah, I don't do a lot of open tuning. I do open tuning videos because there's a demand for them. But I don't do a lot of writing on open tunings. Although with Kelly Jekyll, artist, and Kelly and I are going to do a Stage It concert, I hope soon. I haven't talked to her, but because we're all kind of in lockdown right now. So she can come over, I think, and we can do it from my living room. But we did a Stage It show, StageIt.com show last year. And in like 30 minutes, we made $500. Now, Stage It took 37%. We actually made like $497. If we'd made 500, then they would only have taken 33%. And if you get to 1,000, then they take 26.8% or something like that. So the percentage that they take goes down as you make more. But I've been telling a lot of my friends that have bands and stuff like that to do that because they can't get out and play right now. But they can do living room concerts. That's all we did. We just used her laptop, the microphone on her laptop, and we did 6 songs, and I literally played a different song on a different guitar on every song, and including I played the Irish bouzouki. But the thing about Stage It, and again, I'll write the name of it here, so anyone who's interested in doing live music, the thing about Stage It is that it doesn't archive it. So if you're not logged in watching at that time, then you won't see it. So it kind of creates this community, like what we're doing right now. It kind of creates a community vibe. And you sell tickets, but you can sell them for nothing, for zero, and then people just donate money. Or you can do pick your price, whatever you want to pay. And some people paid $10, some paid $20, some people paid $5, some people paid. Yeah, exactly. And some of these people may find that they make more money doing everything this way when you factor in touring and gasoline and rentals and clubs taking a good chunk of the money and hotels and food and all that stuff. Heck, this may be the new norm, although it's certainly not as fun as getting out and seeing the band. I understand that. And that's going to come back, thankfully, but it might be a little slow at first. It's going to be interesting. But Stage It seemed to work pretty well for us. Now, keep in mind, Kelly, I think, has something like 200,000 followers on Instagram. So that drove a lot of our, that got us a lot of audience. But what I'm telling my son Alex to do is my son Alex plays in so many different bands. And of course, none of them are working right now. That I told him, I said, why don't you do a show with each of your bands and have each of the bands promote the show? So you can, there may be some overlap of followers, subscribers, things like that. But if you can have each of the bands you play with promote each of the concerts you're doing, then you might be able to get, 200, 300, 400 people watching. And that's really all it takes, because you get a few hundred people watching and they just, out of the mercy of their hearts, just give you a couple bucks. That helps. Every little bit helps. So I've actually had people give me money here in the live chat, but don't you guys do that. You don't have to do that. I don't need the money. I mean, I do, but all of a sudden you guys give me all this money. You see all these brand new guitars behind me and you're like, oh man. So, I wanted to watch the last one you guys did, but it started at my bedtime and I had to work in the morning. Wait a minute. What are you talking about? Oh, the one that Kelly and I did. Was that because I think we went at 6, something like that. So that would on the East Coast, that would be 9. I'm not sure we haven't talked about when we're going to do this yet. We talked about doing it, and I'm still game for it. Although I think she might be afraid. She doesn't want to expose Beth and I to any kind of things. She's younger, so younger people. But I'm not that old. But at the same time, younger people are really largely very much unaffected by the coronavirus. So that's a great thing. The future is still alive and kicking. So, all right. So I think we're good for today. That's an hour now, and I'm going to come back tomorrow, Lord willing, and we're going to. That's awesome, Ben. Awesome that you can take up the guitar. It's such a great instrument for just being able to kind of get started on. It's one of the easiest. I mean, outside of like ukulele, it's really one of the easiest instruments to kind of get going on. To master, that's a different animal, because I mean, I think there was no great, very few classical guitarists are greater than Andre Segovia, but he couldn't play bebop. So I don't know what master means. I mean, you could master a guitar in a style. I would consider Alan Holdsworth a master. There's a lot of guitar players I would consider masters in their genre. Yngwie Malmsteen or Guthrie Govan is one of the closest to being a master of many genres. But yeah, the guitar is one of those you can at least get going on it. And then the other thing is, I've always said one of the most important things you can do is, I say on the electric guitar, the most important thing you can do is learn your fretboard. Learn your fretboard. On acoustic guitar, most important thing you can do is learn a lot of strumming grooves. Have a lot of rhythms, because otherwise you're going to just sound like you're playing the same song over and over again, no matter how different the chords are. And then the probably the next best thing to do, most important thing to do with both instruments, is to play with others, to jam. Just jam. You don't have to have a band. It doesn't have to have a purpose. It can just be you don't even have to have one person playing lead or rhythm. You can both be playing rhythm. I did it with, was it once or twice? I did it with you, Harrison. I don't know if you're still there, but at Harrison's church, they were doing a jam thing at the church with a bunch of guitar players. They had like 10, 12 guitar players, and they had a big book, and basically everybody would play rhythm, and one of the 12 would solo, and then they would do another song, and another person would take turns soloing, and it was just a great, yeah, so there's a lot of there are places where you can go and play guitar, so with others, and you can do that. But if you can't, if there's not somebody organized, then you organize it. I think it's just a great thing. So, and that's always when I got better faster, was when I was playing. Didn't even have to be with people that were better than me. I always use the example of playing tennis, though. If I'm playing tennis with someone who's better than me, I'm going to play pretty good. If I'm playing tennis with someone who's not very good or a beginner, I'm not going to play very good, because you don't have to. And they're hitting balls in places where it's like, oh, you got to run and get to them, and they're not even in, and you're hitting them anyway. And so I feel like, if you can play with people that are better than you, great, but they may not want to play with you, so because they're looking for people better than them to play with. So if you can just play with anybody, that helps. Anybody that helps, and then maybe bring to that time, that jam time, something that you want to work on. So anyway, see you tomorrow, 23 hours from now. Okay. God bless you guys. And I'll leave the chat up for a little bit until it shuts it down. Okay. So you guys keep talking.